guys, girls, gals, folks. How's it cooking, Ants asked. Well, actually, I just ate. So it was cooking pretty good. Right on. Alright, so I talked about doing something a little different tonight. And I'm going to be kind of looking at different... they say I have an echo. Please hold. Please hold. Oh, there it is. Okay, do I have an echo now? Technology's wonderful. Am I good? Echo, 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 echo. Alright, I'm going to assume I... Sorry, I'm going to play with my mic here for a second. I just got the okay from the producer that it's better. I had two different mic sources turned on. I always forget that in OBS. All right, Josh, Ants, thank you guys for being here. First one's in the chat. Here we go. As I said, turn my sound off on my phone. Listen to that. Every time I do this, I'm going to turn that off. I'm such a professional, right? Anyway, good to see everybody. Good to have everybody here. Talked about doing something different. I posted a quick message earlier in the Discord about doing something different, and tonight we're going to do it. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I think it's very important because I get tired of listening to me talk. Christopher Bruder says, I feel like you haven't streamed in a while. We streamed last week, but not the week before. I was out sick. I got a note from my doctor, though. Anyway. So what we're going to do tonight is right now, if you're a member of our Discord, and I need to put that in there. Hold on for just a second, folks. I'm going to copy that, put that in there. I'm going to put it here. Boom! Shabing. That is our Discord. I am going to take some time tonight to invite people into the call and talk to you. All right? Now, this should go okay, I believe. If not, we gave it a try and we'll figure it out for next time. But I've talked about myself a lot. You can go back and watch my videos anytime you want. So it's time to hear from other people. You know, I'm not an island unto myself. There are other voices out there. So let's hear those other voices. Chris says, I mean, like 3 weeks ago you streamed, but before that you were gone. Yes, I was gone for a while. That is very true. And I'll tell you why that it was. It says the invite's invalid. Why is my invite invalid? I'm going to talk to Chris. But it says the link I just sent works. Okay. Anyway, so the reason I took time off is because, one, life. I work full time, have a family, that kind of thing. The other thing is, it's like I'd kind of told my story, you know? And it kind of, to me, I felt like it was a little repetitive, like if I kept posting stuff. So I did take some time off. I was like, well, I got to wait for something else to happen, or I could rehash, you know, and I don't want it to always be the same thing over and over, which is why we started going live, right? Christopher's saying we're having an echo. Anybody else hearing an echo? Got the USB mic, mic's off. Audio income pack, shit, that's off. Let me just turn that down in case that's picking up. How are we doing with the echo now? Let me know, guys. Oh, nope, that's down too. Should we just be that one mic? Okay, sounds good to the producer. Okay, so we're gonna go. So anyway, it was just like, why do I want to? Why do I always want to keep telling the same story? So then I thought, you know, I need to stream. So I thought about it. Nah. So here we are live. This is much better. Somebody can go back and watch the videos. But the reason I'm going mute every once in a while, Josh, is because I'm stuttering. I'm pausing. It's a professional thing to do. No, it's not. Anyway, so I just like, hey, let's do this live. And I'm like, I need to hear from people. So the chat just explodes. In my opinion, it's just been exploding. This is the most wonderful thing we've had ever, is the chat that goes on during the show. So let's use the chat tonight. But let's take it a step further. I'm going to invite people in to talk to me if you're comfortable. All right? If you're comfortable. Right? Some of the stuff can be a little triggering. I don't know if people get like stream fright or whatever. Some people just don't want to talk. I totally respect that. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So if I'm going to go through the comments a little bit, and then I'm going to ask somebody if they want to join me live. Okay? Because I think that's important. My producer says, quit fidgeting with your microphone. It just doesn't sit right, man. It's not sitting right tonight. All right? All the great people play with their microphone. If you're old enough to know, Johnny Carson did it all the time. But anyway, I digress. So I'll invite you, some of you in, if you're willing to do that. And we're just going to have a free-flowing conversation, you know? Just kind of like you see out there in the real world. But first, I want to go through comments. So that was my introduction. Thank you very much. Now let's get to the show, folks. The comments. These are my favorites. I kind of want to make this a thing. So here we go. Just some quick comments. Winnie. Now I'm going to try to pronounce this. Forgive me. Winnie McEwen. Hi, I'm only 3 minutes in, but I can relate so much. I'm 51 and have had this stuff at Trigger Your Heart since 17 or so. Okay. So there we go. There's the age we talk about. I also have had many episodes of SVT, which are horrible. The PVCs have ramped up for me the last couple of years. I'm anxious over it. I'm pissed. I'm sometimes depressed. On bad days, I'm rocking myself chanting, this will soon pass. Ha ha ha. I can't take the meds either. Feels like I can't breathe on them. They will work phenomenally for about a week, and then I start feeling like my lungs shut down. Docs try to tell me that shouldn't happen. I'm going to stop right here because I've heard this. You're taking a specific drug, like Winnie is, and like myself, and then you get these weird side effects. And usually it's breathing. And they tell you it's not a side effect of the drug, or it shouldn't do that, right? You shouldn't have that side effect. But when you do your research on that specific drug, breathing is a moderate to serious side effect that if you have trouble breathing, you should contact your doctor. And if it's bad enough, you go to the ER, right? But they tell you it shouldn't be. It is. Beta blockers, I know that for sure. The anxiety that heart flooding causes me is making my life feel smaller and smaller. Thank you for the video. You're not alone. Lots of love. Right back at you, Winnie. Boops. That's the other thing with medication. What my experience with medication is that they tell me that it shouldn't be a side effect, but I have the side effects. I have all of them. And then you research them and you think to yourself, these are going to kill me too. You know? So hang in there, Winnie. That was 2 days ago. 4 days ago. All right. Adam Benamati. I got an ablation. Fast heart rate so far has gone since surgery. I still get PVCs though every single day, and the doctor said they can't get rid of. So what do? It's fucked. I'm grateful they say my heart is healthy and that my AVNRT is gone, but the PVCs are mentally deteriorating. Now see, that's contradictory, right? Because you can get ablations for PVCs. That doesn't sound right to me. Anybody else think that's a little weird? Because I personally have been told, you know, that they can actually get rid of the PVCs, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Thank you for posting, Adam. I booped you. Now I read this, and I wanted to read this on there. I want to get married, and I found the girl. But the thing is, whenever I think about my PVCs, I feel I'm cheating the girl. She deserves a healthy person. I'm going to adjust. I'm going to get in my rage mode here. He finds the girl of his dreams, but he feels like he's cheating her because of the stuff with the PVCs. What is going on there? That's just incredible. That's dumbfounded. I'm gobsmacked. I was gobsmacked when I read that. So he wants to have a healthy, happy life, and then this happens. You know, the PVCs. He doesn't want to cheat her, but it does affect someone of us out there. I'd be curious to hear what everybody's thoughts are on that. Got a message coming in here. Hold on. So I don't know how to respond to that. I've been thinking about that. I haven't been able to respond to that. So I'm not sure what to say. Maybe you guys have a piece of advice or something you can share that might be helpful. I don't read Arabic. I will assume that's Arabic. So let's call him 6, I guess. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say about that one. That's heartbreaking. I mean, I understand it. I do. But how do we help that person? Right? How do we help that person cope and get by and start a life with a woman he loves? How does he not do that? So 6 or your name there, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. There's no replies. Come in here and talk to us if you want to. We'll talk it over with you. Matt Odie, thank you. I suffer every day from PVCs. Ready to end the suffering. People who don't suffer don't understand, Matt. I'm going to boop you, buddy. Go ahead and do DH2. People who don't suffer don't understand. All right. It's hard to tell somebody, okay, the way I think of it is, if you lost your leg, I watched this video on YouTube, or this person who posts video on YouTube, that she had to make the conscious decision to cut off her leg because of the pain from it. They couldn't get rid of it. So she cut off her leg. I couldn't imagine having to do that. I can understand it intellectually, you know, the need, the desire, but the day-to-day function of living with that part of your leg being gone, I don't understand that. This is the same way. Unless you live it, you don't understand it. Now, you can be with us and supportive, but unless you've had it, you really don't understand. And a lot of people will dismiss it. They will dismiss it and say, I don't see it. It can't be that big a deal, right? It's not that big a deal. You got PVCs. What is a big deal? It's a huge deal. My hands are even outside of my screen there. It's a huge deal. I'm gonna jump in the chat here real quick. Ann says, woke up today early to a massive headache. Thought that now is my time to go. Man, the PVCs have made me paranoid as hell. Yeah, this is the theme. Ants, thank you for sharing that. This is a theme. You get a headache, you get PVCs, and it's your time to go. You're going to die. You're absolutely going to die, man. That's what I say to myself. You know, you're absolutely going to die. Okay, last night, I was laying in bed, and I was watching Futurama, right? Who doesn't like a good Futurama episode? And I had a run of PVCs. And that's when you think to yourself, are they going to keep going? Am I dying? Am I dying? Am I dying? Is this going to keep going? And thankfully, it stopped. But at what point do you say this is it? At what point do you wake over to the person, you know, and say, I need to wake somebody up to save my ass? You know? At what point do you do that? You know? So it's a struggle. Okay, I'm going to ask this question. I hope everybody that's here, you know, will take a shot at answering it. How many people live with somebody and you think from time to time you need to tell them that you're dying and need to be rushed to the hospital? How many people think that sometimes? Okay. So Ants, thanks very much for sharing that. I don't know how many people live that, how many times in a day people live that. I live that quite often, especially when I'm at work with a client. If I have something to have happened, I can't stop my session. You know, it's work. That's about the other person. That's what I'm getting paid to do. So I can't stop the session and say I'm having SVT or I'm having a run of PVCs that scare the hell out of me. You know, I can't do that. But I feel like that is happening in that moment. I don't know how many people have been to therapy, but, you know, the person sitting across from you, yeah, and that's what happens to me as a therapist. So I got to shove that down and work on my client. You know what I'm saying? So it's very difficult. So So thanks, Ant. Thanks for that. Jake's loves Jesus. Hey guys, I'm sorry, man. I could never get into Discord and keep it saying error, but it's all good. Okay. I got a note on that, so let's see what I can do. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate it. Josh, yeah, I've been having some PVCs today as well. Sorry, I'm cooking some tacos, but I have wireless headset. I've been listening. Tacos. I hope you enjoy your tacos. I hate tacos, but I hope you enjoy tacos. You know, I'm sorry, I just never liked tacos. But thank you for listening and eating your tacos. I shouldn't condemn your tacos while you're listening. Jake says, just got home from my doctor. She thinks my PVCs are coming from reflux. But we're going to do a 7-day monitor patch. I'm worried it's undiagnosed heart problem, but now we will see. Yes, now you will know if it's an undiagnosed heart problem. Yes, you will know that EKG, the heart monitor, is going to tell you. And we've talked many times on here about the concurrency. I just said concurrency. Total wrong word. How the gut-heart connection affects us, right? So reflux definitely has an impact on PVCs and SVT and stuff like that. Years ago, I know if I ate the wrong food, I would definitely have SVT. Guaranteed. Jake says, she said my pulse apps are probably unreliable. I'd be curious to know what the accuracy rate of some of those things are. I may have to look that up and see if there's like a study been done. Jess says, my biggest fear is when they hit laying down or walking or anytime. And it's a big one where you can feel your heart stop for that 1 second and feel like the floor drops and then the thump comes. Yes. Years and years and years ago, I got 100 stories and I'm going to share them because, you know, you guys are sharing with me. And I've lived this a long time, just like you folks. My car was broken down. So I had it in the shop. I just had one car. But I live in a smaller city, so I walked everywhere. But I couldn't walk very far because I started getting PVCs thinking I was going to die. So I was essentially trapped in this very small area. I had to live in that, you know, because of that. And that would happen all the time back in the day. It doesn't happen as often now. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that because that's one of those things. The more you guys share your stories, the more, you know, this picture becomes solidified in that we share a lot of commonality, you know. So Jake says, me? Thank you, Jake, for being here, even though the Discord's not working. Monica Garrison's here. Yep, I live that every day. Yep. Kareem Dunn, I used to, but now, but I stand up to them. Good for you, Kareem. Stand up to them. For me, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's a good philosophy. I definitely believe that. Josh says, the times I went to the ER, even one time I was at work and had my heart rate was 125, I was sweating, I could feel the skip beats. I feel all of them. And when your heart rate gets over 100, they are just the worst. You know, because sometimes I feel like my heart gets squishy. Like when I get them, it's like kind of feels that way. They register as PVCs on an EKG, but it feels different when they're at that speed. And the doc said it's because of the blood volume's lower, because of the PVC, and the speed at which it needs to pump, something like that. This was before I got the Samsung Galaxy watch, so my Fitbit, I was freaking out. Called 911, they could see the PVCs on the monitor, and I had high blood pressure. I think you talked about this before, Josh, that there might be a correlation between your PVCs and high blood pressure. I think that was you. Josh also says they offered to take me to the hospital, but I was feeling okay, so I think it was a panic attack. So I went back to work, since there was no other signs, and I asked if there was any immediate danger. Now we're going to jump into my field a little bit here. Again, I'm not offering any guidance, counseling, or anything like that. I'm just talking. Panic attacks, anxiety attacks are the absolute worst because they can come out of anywhere. They can come out of anywhere, right? You can be sitting there doing nothing and a panic attack can hit you. You can be in a moment of anxiety and then a panic attack can hit you. And unfortunately, panic attacks can actually cause you to have symptoms that are similar to a heart attack. Chest pain, becoming diaphoretic, sweating, pains in the parts of your body you want to register, like your arms, your jaw. That can actually happen. That's panic attacks can mimic anything. They scare the hell out of me. I used to have them before. Well, it was about the time I did the antibiotics and just nuked my stomach. So that also exacerbated my panic attacks, which of course exacerbates the PVCs, SVTs. So yeah, panic attacks for people like us, it's almost like we're a layered cake. And I'm going to use cake because, yeah, who doesn't love cake? But we have us as the bottom layer, right? And then the next layer, then you put the icing on is the PVCs. Then the next layer can be panic attacks. Then the next layer of icing can be anxiety attacks. And then you just keep going on. Pretty soon we're living with a lot of crap, you know? High blood pressure, throw that in there. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world. Add that onto our anxiety, and this is just unbearable for a lot of us. I know it was for me, the first year of lockdown and stuff. You just got cabin fever and got shut down. Crazy stuff. Monica says, I think in 10 to 15 years, they will discover what causes these things, and it will be some sort of mineral or vitamin deficiency. Monica, I agree with you 100%. I think that's what's going to be. I really do. Because when I take the stuff I take, I really don't have many. I have little runs, but I don't have the persistent, constant PVCs, you know? So thank you, Monica. I agree. And I hope that bears fruit. I hope that they figure that out so the other people don't have to suffer through this like we do, you know, that we can put a stop to it. I do know that this brings to mind, there was a study done in St. Louis, Missouri. They were using focused radiation for SVT, PVC, and I can't remember the other one. But anyway, you lay on a table perfectly still, and they use focused radiation that was more accurate than doing the cardio ablations, right? I don't know how that study ever came out, if the study's over, but I'd be curious to know what happened there. Thank you, Monica. Jake says, yeah, I'm 28. Nobody around me understands why it scares me so much. And I'm like, really? Who would be scared when their most important organ is acting up? Great point. And I've never really thought about it. This is our most important organ. If this one stops, game over, right? You know, which makes sense because we fear death. But like, you can lose half your brain and still function, both legs and arms. Lose a lung, lose a kidney, you're going to be okay. But this goes, and I don't think artificial hearts are anywhere near close to being used. So, and not that they would give us one anyway. Jake says, I get a lot of muscle fluctuation. I'm going to try to say this. Fasciculations when I get PVs too. It's weird. The thing I noticed, I don't know if anybody else does, I get that in my chest where I'll get muscle spasms, and then eventually I'll get PVCs. You know, I can get them in my arms and stuff like that. So my first thought was, you know, Parkinson's. You know what my doctor says. He blew me off. We'll see. Christopher Bruder, thank you for being here. He says, here's my story. When I was 21, I had way too much caffeine. 4 cups of coffee, a caffeine pill for weight loss, and a Boost made locally. I went into SVT, thought I was dying when that happened. Medics came and gave me Adentin. During that Adentin push, Denison, okay, push. I felt that was it. Everything started fading and came back. Hospital did a CT scan, found no blockages. They said it was just the caffeine. I went to the cardiologist a few days after that. He did an echo and a Holter, both came back normal. From age 21 to present, I am obsessed. I'm sorry, things are jumping pretty quick, Chris. I'm obsessed with something's wrong with my heart. I've been so obsessed that I've gone to 4 different cardiologists and haven't multiple echo, stress test, and Holter. I'm 31 now. It's been 10 years, and they say all my heart is healthy as it can be. I started medication for anxiety for the past 2 years. I feel the PVCs, but I'm also able to ignore them sometimes. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel them, and when I feel multiple happen, I start to freak out. I've captured so many on Cardia, Sixel. Luckily, my wife has been supportive. My psych said that my anxiety and sudden panic disorder is probably the symptoms I feel, which is then giving me PVCs. So I'm literally doing it to myself. Yeah, we've heard that too. Yeah, you know, And it is possible. And I think that's the thing we're going to find too. He's talking about multivitamins and stuff. I think there is going to be, I almost want to say, an overload of the sympathetic nervous system and part of the vagus nerve that doesn't get damaged, but it gets out of shape. It's pushed too far. And I think that may be one of the causes too, but we'll see. Yeah, adenosine, or however you spell it, does that. Basically, it resets your heart, and some people can flatline for 10 seconds. And here they warn you it will feel like the floor just drops. I watched some YouTube videos of somebody getting it done in case I never needed it. Really? It makes you feel like you flatline for 10 seconds? Well, you know, just thinking about that almost gave me a PVC, man. That's crazy ridiculous. Your heart's a muscle. Some muscles twitch and skip beats. Makes me think electrolyte, but my blood tests always say normal. Blood tests. Let's talk blood tests. If everybody's different, I know they have ranges in blood tests, but if you go to a cardiologist and they say, we're going to test your magnesium, right? And then the test's fine, but then they tell you to add more magnesium. Okay, and I get that. But I think some of us, or us PVC folks, are a little different. It's either an absorption issue, we're not absorbing what we need to, or we're not getting enough of the nutrient we need. That's why, like, my one cardiologist told me to just load up on the magnesium, go 900 milligrams or whatever, and, see if that works until you get diarrhea, But I tried that and it didn't fix anything. So I really think it's a shooting match. We got to figure out what works. I'm sorry, I just read Monica's. The age-old question, what came first, the anxiety chicken or the palpitation egg? That's great. I'm going to use that, Monica. I have to use that. Maybe people understand that. Maybe I'm going to tell that to my doctor. The palpitation egg. As a side note, I had that question answered. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? You ready for the answer? It was the egg. There you go. Ponder that one. Let's go back up. Ants, from my experience and logic, if all the heart tests came back perfect, then the issue must be somewhere else. Heart has strong neural connection with the gut and brain. Exactly. Thank you, Ants. You nailed it. Josh says it's a fast-acting drug. That's why they push it and stops your heart. So your heart resets, basically a scary feeling, I'm sure. I don't know if I could manage that, man. I don't know if I could do that. They'd have to make me go to sleep first before I could take that drug. I mean, just thinking about it right now, I have a visceral reaction to that. If a doctor said this is probably going to flatline you for a couple beats, couple seconds, but then you'll come back. No, thank you, sir. Ant says, for me, it was anxiety. I couldn't even phrase it myself or understand it. Psychiatrists and medication had a tremendous effect for me. Thank you, Ants. My only deficiency is vitamin D, but I feel bad when I take it. Jake, I had a vitamin T test done a while back. My producer may know, maybe been a year ago. My vitamin D was so low it barely registered on the test. So I started taking vitamin D, different types. And if you look at one of the chats, I know you may have seen it, I finally settled on one that's just been absolutely a fantastic. It was a chewable, really. But vitamin D is crucial to heart health, too. And I'm sorry that it makes you feel bad, because I get that with certain things. My suggestion, not a doctor, always consult your doctor and physician before trying to supplements or medications. Maybe try a different brand if you can. Monica posted an egg. Thank you, Monica. That's great. Christopher, I also have GERD. Take medication for that. So this all could be connected. Who knows? Well, I think, Christopher, if you look back through some of the posts and some of the videos, you're going to find a lot of us believe that there's definitely a connection with GERD. When I had severe GERD, which was just because my stomach was destroyed by antibiotics, I had the worst PVC SVT experience of my life. Lasted it for over a year. So we feel that way. We feel that way. Somebody posted also in the Discord about food journals. And I've never done a food journal, but I've drastically changed my diet here and there. But I'm really beginning to believe a very thorough food journal, and then looking into the foods and see how much do they have what nutrient. Like, if you eat a green leafy vegetable like a spinach or green beans, excuse me, does that, if you eat that, does you feel better? Is it something in that? What causes you GERD? What are you losing because you can't eat it because it upsets your stomach? I think that's where a lot of it gets put on us now. So I've really been thinking about that as an idea. So yeah, that's great. And it says low vitamin levels may be connected to small intestine issues, malabsorption. See, that's my theory. Are we not absorbing what we need to? Has something happened in the past? Now, I'd like to blame it on the antibiotics, but I didn't take my first antibiotic until I was 29 years old. And I had PVCs in my early 20s. So I'm not sure. B12 causes homeocysteine issues, which may trigger heart issues as well. I didn't know that about B12. Because I was on B12 for a little while. Low B12, okay. B12, I think it was just a particular brand actually made me sick. Kind of like, up early, the other comment where vitamin D was making him sick. So yeah, that one made me sick. Monica says, I found help with Tripecalm magnesium. It's a mixture of magnesium taurate, glycinate, and malate. I've never heard of malate. Won't run you to the bathroom and mild on the stomach. Calm my palps for a long while. Great suggestion. We need to post that in the Discord. If my producer's listening, just post her whole comment in there and what's working. Hope you don't mind, Monica. I am going to steal your comment and put it into the Discord. What are some factors we have in common? PVCs, acid reflux, some degree of anxiety. I wonder if they are related or if they're all common, plus something with PVCs is going to have anxiety. Great question. I mean, I don't know if it's a question, but yeah, it's a great comment because the commonalities there, PVCs, for me, acid reflux, and then anxiety, It's going to be interesting in 10 years from now when they figure this all out and find out that we have like very specific causes. Because I don't think it's going to be just one. I think it's going to be one or two or three possible causes. My guess. But I'm just Columboing this out if you're old enough to know who Columbo is. And yeah, magnesium. Magnesium citrate worked for me, the liquid. Tore up my esophagus, but it worked. And when I started taking more of it, to the toilet. Christopher says supplements I take now is magnesium, Triplecalm, vitamin D, 5,000 IU or UI. That's what I take. I take 5,000, but I take 5,000. Oh no, wait. Let me read that again. 50,000 weekly. Gotcha. And flaxseed. It recently stopped taking that. Yeah, I take 5,000 of the vitamin D every day. So I'm a little under what you're taking. Have you noticed a difference with taking the vitamin D? I'd be curious because it took a little while for the vitamin D really to kick in for me. Also, stress and mental problems trigger intestinal issues. It's a vicious cycle. Yes, because they tell us anxiety is the cause of the PVCs. Anxiety perhaps is an indirect cause, but it all comes back to our intestines and guts, right? And the vagus nerve. Yeah. Jake says, I don't get a lot of sleep at night from all the heart pounding. Even when it ain't skipping, I still hear it and feel it. It's uncomfortable. That's the best word I can use for it. Uncomfortable. I'll give you a word for that I use. Hell. And for me, when it gets like that, I put my headphones in and I get the volume just right where I don't hear my heart pounding in my ears, right? So I actually try to neutralize the sound and stuff of the beating of my heart. Christopher says, I've seen a difference with the vitamin D. Mine has been always low. I've been tested 5 times last year, spread out over taking the daily ones off the shelf. They weren't working for me. Okay, well, that's cool. I'm glad you have something that's working because vitamin D is so important. So incredibly important. Okay, we're almost about 40 minutes into the show. Okay? And if you are in the Discord and you have a headset and you are, I'm going to move my mic, producer, and you would like to chat live, let me know. Let's do this. I have a channel in the Discord. I'm looking there now, so I'm sorry. It's rude. You're never supposed to look away from the camera, right? Called On Air. Anyone who would like to talk with me, I would love to have you. If nobody wants to, I understand. Not a problem. But I want to start getting you in. You know, I want to hear you. We have a great bunch of folks in chat, and thank you so much for being here. You guys are absolutely fantastic. CMB991 just joined Discord. I'm going to wave to you. I'm W. Riker, by the way, for everybody that joins Discord. I'm W. Riker. Long story. My name is Steve, for real. Anybody that watches Star Trek may get that reference. If you do, you get a bonus point. There'll be a quiz later. So let me know. Anybody want to jump in there? If not, we'll just keep rolling. I love the chat. You guys are the best chatters in the world. Yeah. I do video streaming for another kind of thing that I do, and I watch videos and stuff, but you guys are the best. So blah 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 blah. All right, I'm gonna hit this button right here because it's telling me it's time to pay the bills. I keep touching my nose. I apologize for that. My nose is very dry. I'm not picking my boogers. I watched a video today. Somebody forgot they were still on camera streaming, and they picked their nose. So I'm trying not to do that. Christopher Bruder. Oh, well, okay, Chris, you're CMB991. The Discord link in the video description below doesn't work. I use the one above in the chat. Okay, thank you for making me aware of that. Mrs. Producer, would you make a note of that so I can fix that? But thank you for using the one in the chat above, which I'll just go ahead and add that again. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a whole thing with Discord. I apologize. We'll get it figured out eventually. We're still young, still a new show. Anyway, Christopher, thank you so much for jumping in there. Great to have you in Discord, joining our community. Tommy made it. I'm going to wave to Tommy, my little blue guy. Again, I am W. Riker. Jake says, the vibration in my legs happens too. It's kind of scary. Jake, are we the same person? Dude, I'm going to describe mine, and I'd like to hear more about yours. I feel like my legs sometimes, like I'm holding on to an electric fence that's constant. I feel like I'm slowly, like lightly being electrocuted. I don't know if that's the same for you. So, and I attributed mine to being on what's this stuff called? Lorazepam. Sorry, it took me a second. I haven't taken it in a few years. Yeah, so I kind of, I attributed to that. Josh says, I'm a Twitch streamer myself, so I don't mind talking to people at all. Josh! Okay. I see you in Discord, and you're Idaho Fella 21. All right, so are you all set up to go? Because I'm going to invite you in. I'm just going to invite you in if that's okay, if you feel comfortable. I'm going to do something here real quick. Click that. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to click save. Now we're going to try this. It should work fine. Oh, Jake. Oh, dude. No, mine's nothing like that. So you actually jerks with your heart rate? Okay. I just unlocked it. This just in. Hey, you remember, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember when they, bring that back, when they were doing the news and like a bulletin would come across and then you'd see them reach off camera, and they'd come back with a piece of paper, and then they would read it, and it's like, this just in. I just got that. It says my Discord voice channel shows locked. Thank you. I unlocked it. All right, Josh. There's a channel in there called On Air. You just want to join in there? It's not locked anymore. You can just jump on in there. Let's see if we can make this work. Josh is our first victim. He's our guinea pig. We're gonna make Josh our guinea pig. There you go. I see you now, Josh. Can you hear me, Josh?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you just talk for old school news. Yes! I'm going to have you talk for just a second, and my producer is going to confirm that we can hear you. So tell us who you are and, kind of what you do, maybe. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Well, I'm Josh. I had PVCs for the past, I guess it's going on 3 years now or whatever. Just came out of blue. One day I was at work and I was having some weird feelings. And then one day, like 2 or 3 days later, it kept happening. I was taking my blood pressure and I could feel their heartbeat pause every second to whatever. And it's freaking me out. So eventually, I'm like, I need to go to a hospital. I need to see what this is going on. Because like, are you feeling faint? Are you feeling, you're going to pass out? Do you need heart pains? I'm like, no, not really. Just that feeling. And then I went to the ER. Of course, that first time, nothing happened.
So they did nothing for you when the first time in?
No, they just like, your potassium's a little low, but everything else is fine. Your blood pressure's a little bit high. That was the first time around. The second time I went in after the event on my work and everything, the second time they could actually see it on their monitor, and I was shaking a little bit, and apparently I had low potassium now, and my potassium was like 2.1. It's like I'm a little bit low, not very, very low, but they gave me a potassium pill, and after that, like, all right, after about an hour, like, all right, you can go. Nothing else. Just give a potassium pill and, contact your doctor and get a Holter on. That's, and that's, there's PVCs in the monitor. It was annoying, but nothing else.
So did the potassium help?
I think it might have a little bit, but I still get them even taking potassium. So it's just I don't know. I still haven't figured out the right combo of, I guess, supplements yet.
I understand that. I tried potassium. I tried over-the-counter potassium, and they tried prescription potassium, and they both just made me really sick. Did you have any side effects with the potassium?
Not that I know of.
Oh, well, that's cool. Okay. So you may have just described this in the chat. So how old were you when you got your first?
I'm turning 40 this year, so I guess that's 30 something. Oh. Oh, so like, you're 39. No, I understood
that, babe. The thing about potassium, and I also wonder this, I don't know how many people actually get their potassium checked, but I had my potassium checked, and my cardiologist said there's like this little range that they want you to be in. It's a little higher than normal, but I could never get to that range.
Yeah, those are like that sweet range that they, too much, you'll get hyperkalemic or whatever it's called, or hyperkalemic is too low, and you have to have that sweet little range. They like when I see my doctor, they do CBCs, complete blood panel work, whatever, to, check all my levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best way I've found the only way I can take potassium is just eat bananas like crazy.
That's the best way to do it if you're not allergic to bananas. That's the best way to get potassium. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. Are you allergic to bananas?
No.
Okay, good. Good.
I'm not allergic to any foods I know of yet.
Oh, actually, my two favorite sources of potassium are bananas and potatoes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot potatoes. Love potatoes.
Yeah.
I used to live in Idaho, so.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that. Idaho. You probably. I'm from Illinois, so we're not known for potatoes, but we all eat potatoes here, always.
Who doesn't, unless you don't like potatoes?
But true. But I mean, French fries, hash browns. Everybody's eating a potato somewhere most of the time, I think. So what I want to do is I want to ask you this question, if you feel comfortable to answer it. Can you describe what it was like that first time you started getting PVCs? What what did you think and feel was
I didn't even
happening?
know what was going on. I was feeling all kinds of weird things because I was working at a gas station closing, and I was just cleaning, and then all of a sudden I felt like little weird heart thumps or whatever, weird feelings or whatever, and like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, okay, I'm not fainting. I'm like, I'm checking my heart rate just normal for walking. So I'm like, I'm trying not to panic, but I'm starting to panic. And I'm like, well, we got the EMTs that always comes in for lunch and everything. Always drops by to fill up the gas. We got the state trooper. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess if I, passed out or something, I wasn't too scared about that. Sort of probably see me, but after a few days, it just kept going, and I'm like, what does it feel? I feel my pulse, and you can feel like it stopped for that second, and then a big thump, and I'm like, okay, well, that is not normal. And I was even telling my wife that I'm like, I need to, check this. And then she even like was hugging me, she could hear my heart beat and stop for that second, and she freaked out for a second. So,
Hmm.
wow, that's done. She's like, that's scary.
So she actually heard it.
Yeah, my son did too. I haven't had him on my chest unless I went about. I'm like, hey, listen to this. And he was like, whoa.
Well, that's kind of a unique situation because most of the people around us have never heard it or felt it.
Yeah, so I guess with them kind of hearing it, they can kind of have an idea. Feeling and hearing is way two different things.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna say who it is if she wants to tell the story or whatever, but somebody I know had one, or what she felt like was one PVC, and that kind of put her in tears, and that was just one, Oh, I gotta lie, it was my producer. So she's had some experience. So she's had one, she kind of knows what that's like. So, and it's very hard for like our loved ones to really understand unless, like in your case, they actually got to hear it or, lay on your chest and be a part of it when it happened.
Yeah, or even one time I had like my string microphone I'm using now, and I had it just feedback with me, and I was laying against my heart one time, and then it was, had a belt. I'm like, that's when I went to the ER that one time. Like, okay, this sounds really weird. And I just was, my biggest fear was, is it hurting my heart? I don't want it, because if you have too many PVCs, it can weaken your heart or whatever, and then, lead to other issues.
Yeah,
that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, same here, because when I first started having them, they did the same thing. The first time I went in, they kind of dismissed me and said, just to break it down, I'm a bigger fella sometimes. They're like, well, lose some weight, you'll be fine. So it was very dismissive. And so it's like, now when they happen and when it started happening more and more, I didn't know what the hell was going on, and that was the thing worried me. Is this going to damage my heart, or does this mean I already have damage? And then
I agree with that one. That's the same thing I had. That's the first time I went in, they tested their the enzyme, I guess, make sure if you did have a heart attack, and that came clean and everything. So
yeah, that's when you want to go whoosh, but then you have another one.
I know, and you keep having it. I'm like, okay, if it's not going to hurt my heart, I can try to live with them. As long as it's not doing damage, then I can kind of, ignore it. Well, not really ignore it, but, not be too scared of it.
Right. Yeah, because I often, cardiologists will tell you, doctors, that just ignore it. Just ignore it. You're fine. Just ignore it. Well, I don't know that I ever ignore them, but sometimes I push them a little off to the side.
Or you can kind of like do stuff to, keep yourself busy and you don't ignore it. You can't tell until like you sit down or just like that quiet moment, then you kind of listen to yourself like, oh, shoot, I'm having it.
Yeah, and then you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I need to do something else.
Exactly.
I like at night, there for a long time, years ago, I had them at night really bad and my heart would pound. I told my cardiologist and he's like, well, that's just part of it. And I was like, it ain't just part of it because I can't sleep. So eventually I started using headphones and trying to get it. And I mentioned this just a little while ago, is I use headphones when it comes on. It's the only way I can get through it. Otherwise I will not sleep. I just won't.
I'm thankfully I don't have them too bad at night. Usually sometimes I might wake up. There's been a few times I think I had a dream that I had one, unless we're just having a dream of me having one, but it wasn't really bad enough to cause any panic, issues yet.
Well, I'm glad for you, because like for me, that's the way it's been, like especially at night. And when I had the SVT with it quite often, it was even worse at night because I'd wake up in the middle of the night with full-on SVT, the heart rate over 200, 250, whatever it was.
Oh, damn. That's scary. My highest has been like maybe 120, 130, especially when I get up, get a drink of water, lay back down, my heart's all pumping, and I look at my heart rate. I'm like, oh, 125, 130. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not dying yet. I'd only be scared with like 160 plus. And I'm like, okay, this ain't normal, especially if you're laying down.
Yeah, see, you know, at what point, you know, when you feel that, at what point do you say to yourself, yeah, I need to do something right now about this? Because, you know, when I had that, you know, I've been to the ER so many times. I've had so many heart monitors, so many blah, blah, this. I got the cardia and all that stuff. And it's like, I started having this, went to the doctors. It's like, well, we can't catch it. We can't catch it. But your heart is structurally sound. You're fine. So we need to put you on meds if we catch it for the SVT. Well, they never could catch it because it always happened at night. So I found my wife was really instrumental in helping me like calm down, because when you feel it, of course, your adrenaline dumps, you go into fight or flight, and that just speeds everything up and makes it last longer.
Yeah, and it causes stress or even cause more PVCs from anxiety and whatnot.
Exactly. So like they said in the chat, this becomes a vicious cycle. You're stuck with fighting not only the initial stuff, but then the compounding stuff that you do to yourself. And I know cardiologists mean well, but it isn't just as easy as, hey, put it out of your mind.
Not what they're doing with it, baby. Put yourself in my shoes for a day and see.
Well, that's what I've always said. If a cardiologist or doctor could actually feel what we feel on a daily basis, I don't think they'd be so dismissive. Now, I understand the science. I've said this before on the show. I understand the science, but there's also the human element, the mental health element, that you can't just be dismissive of that, you know? So if you could tell somebody who's just beginning this journey with PVCs, what would be one thing you would tell them as they kind of start this? What advice would you give somebody?
Good question on that one. That's like, you know, try not to worry about it, but you know, listen, as long as it's, you're not, getting this other side, like, passing out or really heart pains or really, heart attack issues, if it's just skip beats, then talk to a doctor, whatever. But if you're having big issues, then that's more of a, at least call the EMTs to have them check you out like I did. But here they don't, charge you unless they take you to the hospital. So they're like, oh, if you ever have any issues, just give us a call anytime. We'll check you out. I'm like, yeah, you'd probably get annoyed with me if I did that every time I had a PVC.
I had the same thing here. I think the other thing amazing is how similar everybody's story is. You can talk to me, talk to other people, perhaps Jake or Christopher or anybody. Our stories are so very similar. There's some differences, but like we all did the ER trips to feel better. We hear the doctors, the same old stuff, and it doesn't seem like it's changing, because I've been doing this since my 20s and I'm 50 now, so it doesn't seem like the stories change much. All right, Josh. Well, I want to thank you for being the guinea pig, for jumping into the Discord voice part of our evening. And I hope we can get you in here again. It went pretty smooth. I thought we was going to have some more technical difficulties, but hey, that's the one thing that worked without any problems tonight.
Well, I have my settings already, set up for Discord and everything, so that helps.
Yeah, see, it helps that you're a streamer, because you know how to do all this stuff.
There'll be a few times with other people then. Well, thanks for having me.
Well, hopefully we can get you back on too, because there's always.
Yeah, I'm always around.
Pardon?
I'm always around.
Yeah.
I'm always here. So
I appreciate that. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to thank you, kick you out of the call. I hope that doesn't sound mean.
that's all good.
I'm going to drop you like it's hot. And then I want to go back to a little bit of the comments, and then we're going to probably wrap up here in a little bit. But again, thank you so much, Josh. I'm glad you're in the chat, and thank you for talking to us live.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. It's kind of like old time radio. When I grew up listening to radio, it's one of those cool things that you can do, to talk to people. And the modern internet makes that possible, especially with streaming on like Twitch and stuff. Like, you can engage with a lot of people. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much. And let's go to comments. And if anybody else would like to jump in, please, we'll throw you in there, throw you in the deep end. Jake says, my bigger fear was that I would go into cardiac arrest or have a stroke from a lack of blood flow. Yes. My severity of my PVCs when they were up to 22 to 23,000 a day, being like deficient on blood flow, getting blood where it was supposed to, and oxygen was a big concern of mine. Was it was like, am I gonna pass out? Am I gonna have a stroke? Is my heart just gonna stop because it just can't pump blood? You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, here we go. From Josh to Ants. Ants, if you want to jump in there, buddy, all you got to do is click on the on air and jump on in there. I'll wait for you to jump in. I'll play some background music. Do, 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 do. You know, the old elevator music. Can you hear me, sir? See, I can't hear you just yet. I'm gonna look to my screen over here, guys. I see you in there, Ants, but I don't hear you. Let's give him a second. He may be adjusting his settings and his mic and stuff set up, so we'll give him a second. But again, Josh, thank you so much for starting off. It was a great start. Story very similar. You know, we've all heard a lot of the same things, and we've felt a lot of the same things, gone through a lot of the same things. Ants, whenever you're ready to jump in, I see now that you've muted and deafened, so you must be checking stuff. So I'm gonna let you go until I hear you. Our stories are so similar. Now I'm gonna share something because she didn't post it in the chat. You know, why don't you post that in the chat? What you sent me, Mrs. Producer Person. Oh, I heard a noise. Can you hear me? Okay, he's sec. Okay, give him a sec. Why don't you post what you posted in there, Producer Person? What you posted in Signal. I hear you. Can you talk for just a second so I can make sure we can hear you okay? I hear some bumping and moving. Okay, I heard you a bit there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yep. Denise just posted in what she had. She was the one I was talking about that had the individual PVC. So you can kind of see what one PVC felt like, you know, when we lived that all the time. Yep. Ants, when you get a... Oh, there's a massive delay. You may want to turn your stream off or stream down. Okay, you'll try to get a bit. That's fine. Just jump in there whenever you're ready, Ants. Okay? Just jump in there whenever you're ready. I know sometimes doing this, if you're listening to the stream, sometimes you got to turn that off. So I'm sure you can figure it out. So anyway, Denise posted, when I felt my one PVC, it grabbed my attention like what I would assume an earthquake would do to someone, and scared the crap out of me. You know, an earthquake. Yeah. And that was one. And that one is hard to deal with. It's very, very difficult to deal with, having just one, you know. And I'm glad she's sharing that, because she understands to some degree what I go through, and it's very difficult. And if you don't have good supports, it's even harder. That's why it's so important for us to have supports and people around us that actually... Hey, I hear you, sir. I heard him for a second. When you talk, you sound pretty clear. I don't know if that helps you or not. Okay. Let's wait. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Oh, good now. Yeah.
Okay. Producer person, are you hearing him okay? Let's see what she says. Okay, if you wouldn't mind, I know you have in the chat, but for those who may just want to watch the videos and not pay attention to chat or be here live, kind of tell us your story. How did they start? What was it like for you?
Well, first time I had them like in 2020. I had like single ones, over a couple of weeks. Shouldn't do that because everyone apparently has them, and I just thought like, fuck it. And now back in December, I had them like daily and had numerous ER visits, and everything was normal.
When you found out that everything was normal, did that help?
No, not necessarily. I started to find some more help, really.
Okay. So you tried to find a different person, a different doctor? Is that what you mean?
Well, yes, I started to trying to figure out what's going on, really.
Okay. Yeah, that's again, we talk about all our stories. That's very similar. Have you ever felt like the answer you've gotten from a medical professional has been enough, or do you always still have that in the back of your mind that something's really wrong?
Well, as I've told on the chat as well, like for me, it's like uh, previously I had some IBS issues years back.
Mm.
I defeated with.
I'm kind of losing you. You're kind of fading in and out.
Can you catch me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, I'm not sure if I lost you, if you're just in pause, but I'm going to ask you some more questions. Um, Now, I've read your stuff in the chat, and again, thank you very much for being in the chat. What for you? Because like I asked Josh, what would you tell somebody that's since you kind of started these in 2020? What would you tell somebody? Because just as far as some of us, you're still pretty early on in the journey, and I hope you don't have them for long. But what would you tell somebody else to do in your that's experiencing these for the first time?
Firstly, I'd recommend everyone to go to a family doctor and get some heart monitoring done. As it is for me and many other people, then all the tests come out perfect.
Do you find go ahead? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. For years back, I beat IBS. Uh, just one part of the cycle.
Now, if I remember right, you were on, and tell me if I'm wrong, please. You were taking probiotics for the IBS?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Heavy dose for 2 weeks.
Okay. Now, recently, because I've talked on the stream that I had to take antibiotics. I have taken probiotics regularly, and I really think that helped with preventing a lot of problems while I was on the antibiotics.
Yes, it might help, and actually I took like an extremely large doses for 2 weeks, and after that I'm pretty much fine.
And that took care of the IBS.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you posted the list of what was in the list of probiotics that you were taking. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so for people that want to know what he was taking, I think it's in the what's working or it's in the general. I'm not sure where you posted that, but I did read through that. And excuse me, I wish I'd have known about that years ago because it took a long time after I took antibiotics, to kind of get rid of the stuff I had going on with my digestive system, because they eventually figured out that it was that antibiotics had really just done a number of things, and then I needed probiotics to correct it. But at that time, years ago, probiotics weren't much of a thing.
Yeah, and also to continue, like if anyone got pains or digestion issues, then um, gut biome testing. So basically, you take a dump in a can and they just pretty much research the hell out of it, bacteria and stuff.
Okay. Oh wow. I don't think I've heard of that. You know, be honest with you.
Yeah.
No doctor has suggested that anyway.
Well, and after all the tests, hard tests came back perfect, then well, I started to research like the third part of the cycle, which was the mental health. And I went to a psychiatrist. I got antidepressants
We're
for my
starting.
anxiety.
Okay, we're starting to lose you a little bit, but that's okay. Keep going.
Well, I rephrase it again that after all the hard tests came back perfect, I went to a psychiatrist who gave me antidepressants, and it really had a tremendous effect on my anxiety. And that was like the third part of the vicious cycle, I said. So, and that was the part that really fucked everything up for me from the beginning, which I didn't really realize or wanted to admit myself.
Okay. And I believe we talked about the medication that you prescribed to.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I got to be honest with you, I'm a little jealous because we talked about it's not available here in the United States.
Yeah, that's weird because actually I looked it up on the web and it seemed to be like a gas station drug some time ago, and they like took it off completely.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. The research I think I posted the link, but I tried to do a little bit of deeper digging to find out, you know, what more was to it. I never could find much, but it seems like it's effective and it could help people, but I mean, here we sit. So I'm glad you found your psychiatrist that knew this medication.
Sorry, can you?
I think I may have lost you a little bit there.
Could you please repeat?
Oh, what I was saying is that, again, I'm still a little jealous that you have access to that drug, which I think might be very beneficial to people, and it's limited, you know, to country where you can get it.
Yeah, it seems like it's necessary.
Well, and that's the funny thing. We have here in the States, I'll speak for the States, we have the list of drugs that they try everybody on. And when that list of drugs are ineffective and don't work, then they just throw their hands up. They're like, well, I don't know what to do next, which is my case right now. Is I've tried everything and they're like, well, we don't know what to do at this point. So you just got to figure it out on your own, which I think I have. But, you know, it's sad that they can't say, okay, let's try this drug, even though it's not approved. Let's still give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, just don't stop trying. Way, I guess, the best recommendation. I mean, for me, but I don't know, like.
Okay. I think we lost you again. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think what it is, I think from where I am and where you are, where Discord servers are, I think we're getting a little bit of jet lag in there somewhere that we just kind of faded in and out. At least that's what it sounds like on my end. One thing I want to say is I really appreciate your activity in the chat, in the comments in the chat and the Discord. You have a wonderful story. You're very active. So I just want to say I really appreciate you being in there.
Yeah, you too. Thanks to you.
Okay. All right. We're at 1:10, an hour 10, 53 seconds. Ants, thank you very much for coming on live. I will have you on again.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, sir. And what we're going to do now is kind of start wrapping things up. I have this scheduled for an hour and a half, but it seems like around an hour seems to work best. And I'm also looking at doing this in a different time zone. Right now, this is central time in the United States. We have some people who are overseas who can't attend because of the time difference. So I'm going to try to make it easier for them too. I don't know if I have to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and do the show, which would be great for me. It's fun. I'm That's cool for me. But if you're from a different country, a different time zone, let me know if that's something you're interested in. If you watch this later, join our Discord, and come in and say hello and tell me what's the best time in your time zone. And let's see if we can add a show for that time zone. Yeah, thank you so much. It's 4 a.m. where he's at. So I'm sitting here, I'm tired. It's 8:12 and where I'm at, and it's 4 a.m. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being awake. I don't know if you normally are or not, but thank you so much. I'm going to read these last two bits of the chat, and then I'm going to thank everybody gratuitously, and then we're going to call it an evening. So Denise says, when I felt my one PVC, it grabbed my attention like when I assume was an earthquake. So I read that one. She also goes on, it's completely disrupted for me from what I was doing, and I was worried that what was happening and if I was okay, and I definitely had tears in my eyes. Yeah, so that is a person who had one PVC that she's aware of. Okay, we all have PVCs. We feel them, others don't. So I'm lucky that I have somebody that is in my support circle that at least has that one experience, you know? And I think, you know, it's good to have somebody to understand. So if you have somebody that doesn't understand them, turn them onto this channel, tell them to subscribe. I got to start doing the subscribe thing, you know, because we get to 500, we get more benefits. I can do more with the channel, you know, so get people to subscribe. There's my shot at subscribing. Tommy's here. Hello, Tommy. Thank you for coming. He says that's a good analogy, Denise. Earthquakes and PVCs are both similarly scary. Yes. I almost think I'd rather go through an earthquake. I've been through one earthquake, or a tremor, if you will. I would rather do that than have PVCs or SVT or any of this other nonsense that we have. Okay. Ants, Josh, thank you guys so much. You are fantastic for coming on live. We'll do this again because I think instead of having you guys talking in the chat, let's pull you in. We can have a whole flood of people in that voice chat. You know, have a round table, if you will. I want to thank everybody who has been commenting and joining the show. I wasn't able to go through all the comments, but I think the live chat is, I don't know, I think it's the way, you know, because you guys are here. Let's talk, right? We're gonna do this again next Thursday, similar format, and we'll just go, like I said, we're trying to keep it about an hour because, you know, people have lives and want to do stuff. And let me know what you want to hear. Get in the Discord, slam the Discord. Let me know what you're interested in. What can we do? What is interesting? What's important for you, everybody, to hear? I talk a lot. I don't mind talking a lot. My voice actually held out tonight. I didn't need to get a drink. That's what happens when you feel better, I guess. I'm Steve. This is Steve on PVCs. We'll see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Any ideas you got, throw them in Discord. I'm in Discord every once in a while. I can't say enough how happy I am to have everybody in the chat. You guys are amazing. Every week so far, you guys have nailed it. You're better at this than I am as far as chatting. I love reading your comments. I think the voice call went really well tonight with Ants and Josh. Ants, 4 a.m. I don't know how you do it, man. I don't understand. But we'll be here next time. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.